10 seconds to go. 24-23 Saints. Vikings at their own 39. We need a Minneapolis miracle. Case on a deep drop. Steps up in the pocket. He'll fire to the right side. Caught by Diggs. Stay up. Oh, he got loose. Oh, my God. No way. Ah! Touchdown. What a miracle finish.
Welcome to The Incredible Idiot, Fantasy Football Edition, a podcast coming to you from upstate New York with your hosts, Ian, Hollywood, number one, GBN Smallback.
Hey now, everybody. Hey now. Welcome to the League of Incredible Idiots podcast. Thank you for joining us here. We got a lot to talk about. Are you still alive in fantasy football? Have you moved on, or are you like JJ, just sitting there on the bench watching the boys in the semis?
Looking real good, though.
We're going to start with Sunday reactions. Lots of good games that happened. Then we're going to go into injuries, news around the NFL, and take it home with upcoming matchups. Number one, we're going to start with you. What do you got, kid?
Let's start with the Miracle in Miami. What a finish, boys. The hook and ladder finally worked. And this is fantastic because the Patriots were on the losing end of this battle. What a game. Back and forth battle. So many lead changes. Total yardage, 421 yards from the Patriots, 412 yards from the Dolphins. This was just a back and forth battle, punch after punch, take one, throw one. I loved this game. It had a beautiful finish, and I'm really happy the Dolphins won. It really showed a big weakness on the Patriots team. They are having struggles on the road. So let's begin with the Patriots-Dolphins game. What do you boys think about this one?
Just being from Western New York, like we all are here, and being a Bills fan, and Joe, you being a Jets fan, I think we all just had a big smile on our faces watching the Patriots lose that way. Oh, it's just so great. I find it, I mean, first of all, the game overall was so good. I mean, give the Dolphins credit, not only for how they won, but the fact that they kept putting up points against the Patriots, which in my eyes has always been how you got to go into a game against them. You got to score more points than them, but you really got to score points. You're not going to beat them by only putting up 15 to 20 points typically. They went out there and they matched them for the most part the whole game. And I mean, I don't know what to make of this Miami team. I don't want to give them enough credit most of this year. And then here they are now, and they're deep in the hunt. They just took down the Patriots. And I think that last part of the game where they, on that crazy play, how they had Gronk. Oh my God, they had him near the freaking end zone.
Yeah, what was he doing out there?
He was obviously out there in case they chucked one up for a Hail Mary, but they were too far away to even do that. So I don't understand why they would go there. I mean, you could have put anyone else on the field on that team that was, somewhere on the defensive side, even a wide receiver, and they would have caught Drake, I think, and we'd be talking about a different, in talking about this game in a different way. But like Gronk, by the way, can we just say like Gronk is so like out of shape? The dude can't run.
Hey, he went 8 targets, 107 yards, 1 TD. He had a day, and I've been waiting for that day too. So he might be fat, but welcome back to fantasy relevance at least.
Hey now,
I want to hit you guys with some more quick stats because it was a stat-filled day. Tom Brady was pretty damn good, completing 27 of 43 passes for 358 yards and 3 touchdowns, 0 turnovers. Josh Gordon, 5 targets, 96 yards. Sony Michel carried the ball 20 times for 57 yards. Pretty bad. On the other side of the field, we had Ryan Tannehill completed 14 of 19 passes for 265 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 turnovers. And then Kenny Stills coming out of nowhere with a big game at 8 targets, 135 yards, 1 TD. It could have been the difference maker if Gala decided to play him this week. Could have upsetted Andrew Kastner. Good thing he was on Gala's bench. Ouch.
Yeah, I think what you really, to sum up your recap right there, was this was an offensive battle. Defense really wasn't a factor in this game this week. With 9 lead changes, 10 if you include the final score. this is if you love offense, this was your game, and it was probably, arguably, the finish of the year. I don't think any other game will top this. Uh, Fantastic outings by both quarterbacks. Brady had a great game. Tannehill had a great game. Even though Tannehill didn't throw for that many yards, he still had 3 touchdowns. And you're right. If you're from Western New York and if you're an AFC East fan, well, specifically a Bills or Jets fan, you love the outcome of this game. And it's really hard to gauge this Dolphins team. You don't know what they're about because there's weeks where they show up and they look like trash. And you're just sitting there like, oh, there's your typical Dolphins team. Every year you see them crumble. And then they come out with an outing like this at home against the Patriots and they win. And they're still very well alive in this playoff chase. And you really don't know what to make of them. So I think these last 3 games of the season, we'll see what the Dolphins are all about. And for the Patriots, is it time to hit the panic button? I don't know. They're definitely going to be in the playoffs, but it's looking more likely that they're not going to get home field advantage, and I don't think that's good for them. That does not give them an advantage because on the road, they don't look like they're capable of winning games. And if they have to go into Kansas City or Los Angeles or, Houston even, I don't like their chances. So New England's got to figure it out. They got to turn it around, try to find a way to get some sort of home field advantage. They're not going to take it away from the Chiefs entirely. So they're really going to have to have some meetings this week and figure out this team.
Yeah, Deanne and idiots, let me ask you guys a question. Speaking of Bill Belichick here, do you think that kicking a field goal from the 4-yard line with 16 seconds remaining, do you think that was a smart move? Or did he just leave the door open for Miami and a possible comeback? What would you have done?
Well, we played that one out, and they did, I guess, leave the door open for Miami. But I gotta back Billy. Yeah, I called him Billy. That's right. On this one, I gotta back him up because listen, you take the points. It made it a score a touchdown or you're gonna lose type of a situation if you were the Dolphins, and so he took the approach that I think is that's what I would have done. I really would have. If I was in his shoes, I would have kicked the field goal. I know you're so close to the end zone. You got Brady. You feel like you like your chances, but taking the field goal there, in my opinion, was a smart move. But then again, I'm just so happy it didn't play out that way and work out for them. I just want to say I'm not afraid of this Patriots team like I have been in the past. And there's just something about it. There's more to it than just me saying that. But I don't look at them when I watch their games and go, this team is elite. They're like, watch out. They're back. It's the same Patriots. There's something about this team. And like, Joe, you were saying how, they're probably more likely than not at this point, they're going to have a road game for their first game of the playoffs. Home field advantage is no longer a thing for them, which I think is obviously it's nothing like what we're used to seeing. I don't like them nearly as much as I used to, as far as on paper, as them being able to just kind of roll through the playoffs, yet alone just win their first game. I don't care who they match up with, if they end up playing in the first round. I don't think that they're like unbelievable favorites at all. I think any of these teams that end up making the playoffs in the AFC can beat them whenever they play them. I'm so happy about that. The tides are changing in the AFC, and you're seeing it right now with the Patriots. I fucking love it.
I agree, absolutely. And continuing and sticking with the AFC, I think 2 teams that are definitely playoff bound and will absolutely give the Patriots fits are the Ravens and the Chiefs. So we can move into that game now. That was a great battle, and some could arguably say that that might even be the AFC Championship. Uh, so going into some analysis on the Ravens versus the Chiefs this weekend, Mahomes had a big day. 377 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Lamar Jackson came to life, had a couple touchdowns. Tyreek Hill, 8 receptions, 139 yards. The Chiefs' offense was definitely there. This was a back and forth slugfest. The Chiefs came out on top in overtime. And all around, I think these 2 teams were very evenly matched against one another. Watching the game, this looked like 2 very even football teams. And the Ravens defense did their job for the most part, but that Chiefs offense just shows that they're really hard to contain, and it's going to be very hard to stop them. What are your guys' thoughts?
Yeah, it's tough to ask for so much out of a defense playing against the Chiefs because they're going to get their points, but I think the Ravens defense played fucking great. Like I don't know what else you could have expected out of them. Patrick Mahomes, he's showing me late in games that he can figure out ways to move the ball down the field and just kind of keep moving this offense. I think he's he played well in that game from the perspective of him being like a very young quarterback, playing against a very good defense and it going all the way down to the wire. He's had a couple of games like that throughout this season where he's had it weren't just blowout wins, but just the way that he handled that fourth quarter and overtime. Man, I mean, he looks like he obviously is a real deal, but that Ravens defense, I think they're going to keep the Ravens in every freaking game they play. And so when you say, Joe, that you could possibly see this as an AFC championship game, I don't think that's out of the question at all. I mean, I'd personally like to see them have Joe Flacco back right now. I don't think Lamar Jackson, he's just not spreading out defenses enough yet, but I really like what he's doing too. But I just think the Ravens defense is going to keep him in every game, and they're going to be a tough out in the playoffs if they can make it there.
I mean, let's look at the remaining schedule. Baltimore Ravens have the Buccaneers, Chargers, and Browns. I mean, they could come out of this winning Buccaneers. I don't know if they could beat the Chargers, but I think they could also beat the Browns, coming out 9-7, maybe 10-6 with the win over Chargers. And then on the other side of the field, we have Pittsburgh. Their remaining schedule is Patriots, Saints, and Bengals. So I think they could lose against the Patriots, which will be a big game this Sunday. We'll see. I think also a determining game for them in the playoff schedule. And then they got Saints, which I think they will lose, and then they will beat the Bengals in the final season. So, this Baltimore versus Pittsburgh playoff matchup, I mean, it's getting really tense, and Baltimore's been playing really good, especially with a rookie quarterback. And if you're Baltimore's coach, when do you put back Joe Flacco back in? I mean, do you? Like, is Lamar Jackson able to handle playoff caliber play? I mean, he's making a lot of costly fumbles. I don't know what I would do if I was that coach.
I mean, if you're Harbaugh, you got to look at it like he's got the best view of this team as far as what gets the guys going. We saw when Josh Allen with Buffalo came back in, it just juices the players up. Like they seem to perform at a different level and they seem to just do a little bit more. When you have a guy that is really leading the offense and the team in general, it tends to gravitate towards everyone on that team. And I think you may be seeing that with Jackson. I don't know what I would do, man. I still feel like Joe Flacco gives them the best chance to win a playoff game. But you saw it last year with the Bills, man. They had a defense that kept them in the game against the Jaguars in the first round. And obviously we didn't score enough points, but kept us in the game. Baltimore's defense is going to do that, I promise you. They will keep whoever's playing at quarterback that day, and if they make the playoffs, they'll keep them in the game. So you just gotta, I don't know, you gotta find a way to put up enough points. And I'd like to see Jackson out there. It's a better story. He's very fun to watch. We'll see, man.
I think it's one of those situations where you keep riding the hot hand. Jackson hasn't done anything to lose the job, right? So until Jackson shows you something in signs of him deteriorating or degrading, I think you don't take him out. I think you rest Flacco, let him get 100% healthy before you plug him back in, because right now the team's 3-1 over their last 4 games. They're playing pretty good football. I think they have a relatively easy schedule to finish the season. I do see them winning their division. I see them coming out as the fourth seed in the AFC. They'll probably play the Chargers in the first round of the playoffs, unless the Chargers can beat the Chiefs this Thursday and win the AFC West. That's going to be a tall challenge for them. So I think right now you keep Jackson in, rest Flacco, get him healthy, and then take the season from there.
Yeah, Joe, I don't think I don't know. I don't think they're even gonna take Lamar Jackson out. I think the Ravens are just a better team with him. He might make some mistakes, but I mean, you got a guy who they were talking about, should he move to wide receiver, or I think even running back at one point they were talking about before the draft, that's how he should market himself. I mean, the dude's fast, and he's not just like QB fast. He's like genuinely NFL player caliber fast. So I mean, when you look at a guy, do they need to throw as much? If he can run, I mean, you got Joe Flacco who's going to go in and throw the ball. So it's just I think that's where they evaluate the team and see, do they want a guy who can run and have that, open that side of the game up, or do you want a guy who's just going to stand in the pocket and throw the ball? And I feel like going into the playoffs, that's a better, a guy that can run opens up a completely different aspect of the game than just a guy who's going to stand in the pocket and throw.
Yeah, I mean, you're seeing that in the NFL right before our eyes. I mean, quarterbacks that can move with their feet and their legs. I mean, they're changing the game. I mean, you see, I hate to keep bringing him up, but the guy looks great in shorts and he's tall and he's got a great arm. Josh Allen, he's spreading out defenses because he can run the ball too. And that's exactly what Jackson's doing. Kenny, I know you are a big Jackson guy. You were during the draft. You thought he maybe should have went higher than he did. He's definitely the future of the Ravens. I totally agree with that. He's so fun to watch, and he spreads defenses out. I mean, especially if your quarterback has an arm, you have to respect that, and you have to stay back in coverage, which just allows you to be able to carve someone up on the ground.
Well, see, and I wonder, Jordo, too, if it just turns into kind of like a matchup play, right? They've ran a couple times where they've put both of the guys on the field. Like, I wonder if that's just, you see the team that they're going to go up against, and if it's a team that they need to be able to run on, then Jackson's going to go in and play, maybe, a couple series. I don't see them like splitting the actual game, but maybe that game Jackson's going to play. And then maybe if they need a guy who can just sling the ball because the team's good at stopping the run, then they put in Flacco. I don't know. It's so tough, because we just think about, I mean, you look at the NHL, you look at football, it's who's your guy, who's your goalie, who's your QB, and you got to like stick with that. And I think now you kind of have to look at it. It's not like how Buffalo is, where you have essentially Josh Allen. And when Josh Allen's healthy, he's in there, and he can run and he can throw, but they don't have depth after him. Whereas I think Baltimore needs to look at it as, hey, we have two solid QBs with two totally different aspects of their game that can be helpful. So I think you have to play it like that rather than just limiting yourself to, okay, if we go with one guy, we can't go with the other.
That's not a bad way to go about it, kind of having a 1A, 1B, at least for like your matchups. But at some point, especially a guy like Flacco, he just wants to know, am I playing or am I not playing? There's no splitting there. I mean, he's a team player. I'm not saying he's not, but it's going to some point become a problem. So at some point here in the future, they're going to have to they're going to have to pick their guy, and inevitably that will be Jackson. I don't he's a younger guy. You're going to end up going with him at some point. So it can only last for so long with the 1A, 1B, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think it's incredible that they've been able to get this guy some more playing time. It positions their franchise as a brighter spot moving forward. But I want to talk about the Colts over the Titans this last week. Colts 24, Texans 21, ending the Texans' long
Wait a second.
winning streak.
Wait, the Texas Titans?
No, Houston
Wait
Texans.
a second.
Houston.
The Houston Texans. You said the Titans.
Ganny, he's getting mixed up because the Houston Oilers, I guess, turned into the Tennessee Titans, so maybe he was thinking a little mixed there.
He doesn't know what he's talking about. That's the problem.
Maybe one of the other. I don't know. But all I know is Andrew Luck, watch out, thrown it 41 times, completed 27 passes for 399 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. T.Y. Hilton came to play, 199 yards and 9 grabs. Ebron continues to be excellent with 4 targets, 65 yards, and 1 touchdown. On the other side of the ball, Deshaun Watson threw for 267 yards and a score. Lamar Miller didn't have that great of a day. And DeAndre Hopkins was held in check for most of it, only on 4 grabs and 36 yards. How did the Colts do this? I mean, they took down the Houston Texans in an incredible game, and I'm very happy about it. I mean, Joe, I know you're a huge Luck fan, so give it to me.
I love him. Honestly, this was a tale of one quarter. The Indianapolis Colts played a fantastic second quarter, and that's really what broke the game open. They went into the half up 17-7, and their defense played pretty stout the rest of the way. into that game. T.Y. Hilton, Titty Boy Hilton, had almost 200 yards receiving. He had a big day. Andrew Luck loves him. That's clearly his favorite target. Luck overcame some adversity. Not the best first quarter, but I mean, that man is a fantastic quarterback. He knows how to adapt and overcome. And the Colts played great. It was a solid football game, well rounded effort from all sides of the ball, defense, offense, special teams, and they beat a good Houston Texan team. And the Colts are showing that they're definitely a team to contend with, and they're making a good playoff push.
For sure, man. Andrew Luck, I don't know what else to say about this guy. He's got it. We've missed him for so long in the NFL. I feel like he's been out for like 3 years. I think it's only been like a year or whatever, but it feels like we haven't seen him play in so long. You forget how good this kid is. He's just your prototypical quarterback. He's big. He's he was he was a man when he was like 16 years old. He had a full fucking beard, all this shit, and
He doesn't
he's a
look that
nerd.
good.
He's like a football nerd. Like you can't. There's nothing more that you'd want out of your franchise quarterback than that. He's just such a football nerd. He just finds a way to figure out how to beat defenses. And in a game, I mean, dude, they played the Texans, who were just on fire, rattling off what it was, 9 wins in a row, unbelievable, and they put them out. Yeah, the Colts, they're a team that, in my opinion, kind of like the Dolphins. Yeah, I'm not saying you forget about them, but I haven't given them enough credit this year. They can run the ball. They have a great offensive line. We all know how good Andrew Luck is. T.Y. Hilton, Ebron. Their defense is definitely underrated. I have Dak Prescott, who I'm arguably thinking about starting in my semis this week because Aaron Rodgers is going up against the Bears. We'll talk about that later. But you look at this Indy defense. I don't know if like quarterbacks aren't going to play great against them every game. I mean, they're just an underrated defense, and they held Hopkins in check, like you guys were saying. I mean, good for them. They're getting hot, and Andrew Luck getting hot. I don't want any part of that.
See, now the question I have here, right, is you have a team like the Texans. I mean, their running was just terrible in this game, and I feel like if they don't fix that, I mean, you can't win the playoffs. At least in my opinion, I don't think you can win the Super Bowl without having an all around team. You know, a great defense isn't just going to win it for you. A great receiving core is not going to win it for you. You need to really have every weapon so that you can kind of change things up and do some crazy stuff. I mean, the Texans still have salary cap space. I just wonder if these teams who are now looking at playoff runs or maybe on the bubble, I mean, who's out there looking at Kareem Hunt? I mean, I know there's a lot going on with him, but I mean, he's cleared waivers now. So do you think any of these teams, especially like the Texans or, I mean, I don't think the Colts really need him as much as others, but I mean, do the Texans look at picking him up so they actually have a solid running back?
That's a sticky situation because I think Kareem Hunt's still on the commissioner's exempt list. So till the investigation is over and he gets off that, teams can't really sign and play him. It's a possibility. I think this was an off game for the Texans' running core. I don't know if any team's going to want to take that risk and sign Kareem Hunt this year amidst all of the shenanigans and accusations and essentially all the things that he has done off the field. So it's a whirlwind. It's a mess. I don't think anyone wants to touch that or be a part of that until all the investigations and the findings come out. So I don't think you see him see the field this year.
But I mean, I feel like, and I definitely agree with you just because it's such a sticky situation. But I mean, if a team picks him up and spends money on him, you know that investigation is going to go a lot faster than it's currently going when he doesn't have a team to go to. You know what I mean? When you got a team out there that's saying, yeah, hey, look, we're willing to drop a bunch of money on this guy, and hey, this investigation needs to be over. I mean, look at what Zeke did, right? I mean, Zeke put off that investigation for how long before you finally got suspended. So I think if a team's looking at it, maybe they pick him up or work with the league to get that investigation put off till next year or something. You know,
I don't know. I think he's going to have at least a 6 to 8 game suspension. I mean, not only is he being looked at for this initial conflict that we've seen on video, but I think 2 other problems as well. And so I think he could miss an entire season. So I don't even think he's relevant at this time because he's not playing until 2021 or something like that. I don't know. It's a really tough situation that we don't know yet, and I think no team wants to take on the risk of taking on a player like this that could also just miss the entire next season. So not only are they going to get a bad rep for taking on a player that kicks girls, but they're not even going to have him for next year. So why it doesn't seem it's like a lose-lose right now.
Well, I don't think the running game is really the Texans' issue. I think you just saw an off running game. Lamar Miller's a fantastic running back. So I think it was a division battle. Those are always tough games whenever you play within your division. And I think this was the better team on this particular Sunday one. I think if you see a rematch of this game, you're going to see a different outcome in the future. I think the Texans come on top. I just think the Colts played a fantastic second quarter. They won that quarter 17-0. And I just think their defense helped them out to finish the game. And if you want to talk about the Texans running game, I think they'll watch some film. They'll figure it out. Lamar Miller's having a pretty decent year. So I wouldn't knock him on this one game or the Texans offensive line on just this one effort.
Well, all right, boys. I wanted to give a few more shout outs for games that happened this week. Cleveland, Genny's team, with a nice win over the Panthers. Genny, I know you're
team?
probably.
We don't even know anymore. Is it Chicago? Is it Cleveland?
Oh my God! Okay, how many more videos are you gonna send of you taking down your Bill stuff out there in LA, huh? Because you're too embarrassed, so you can't even talk about it.
Who is your favorite team then? I don't know.
Listen, right now I would have to say it's the Cleveland Browns.
Okay.
Because you know what? I'm not a bandwagon jumper like you are. You know, now you're all of a sudden a Rams fan, a Chargers fan. Who the hell knows with you? You barely even know the rules, so I'm not even sure you can be included as a fan.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm sorry I didn't go out and pick a team that's hot or winning a bunch of games. Cough Joe, like in the Chargers.
Hey,
I went for a team.
Right? My Super Bowl
I went behind a team. I'm also following a player as I did when I became a Pens fan in Baker Mayfield. I had followed Evgeny Malkin when he got drafted. I believe in Baker Mayfield. I think he is going to be truly a legend in the league, and I think he's showing that now. And, you know, he's doing big things down there. He's still a young quarterback. They still have a young team. I mean, look at the guys who are playing and doing well. Nick Chubb, Baker Mayfield, Callaway. I mean, where were those guys last year in the league? You know what I'm saying? So I got all the faith in the world in those
If you want to talk about a legend in the league, then let's talk about the kid that looks really good at shorts, Josh Allen. Jordy, you want to take this one?
Oh yeah, he had a big win last week, right?
Wait, hold on a
second. Jets
suck. Yeah, Joe, the goddamn Jets fan. Joe, you want your couple minutes of fame here? You want to start?
You know what? Number one, I'm gonna say it was a great game. Honestly, back and forth battle. Two teams that have franchise quarterbacks in the making. Both looked good. Both showed signs of promise. Both showed areas of improvement, lack of better terms. But it could have been anyone's game. Honestly, that whole game. It was. I don't know. It was a good football game. Bills looked good and bad at times, and the Jets definitely looked bad. But they mounted that comeback in the fourth, so I cannot sit here and say.
I mean, they broke a 6-game loss streak. Come on.
I can't sit here and say the Jets are a better team because we all know they're not. But on that Sunday, they had a better fourth. That's all it was. They showed a better outing in the fourth quarter, and they overcame and they came away with the W. But you can't take anything away from Josh Allen because that man ran for over 100 yards again. So he's still looking good.
Beat Michael Vick's record. So in the last 3 games, he's run for 321 yards, which is the most QB running in the Super Bowl era. Holy smokes. I mean, is this even healthy? Like, do you want your quarterback running this much despite all the success he's had? Like, Jordy, what do you think?
It's so fun to watch. It's just that I want to start with that. It's just he is so fun to watch with his legs. He is 6'5" and running like a Tariq Cohen. But this is why, guys, I want to point this out. This is why he's able to run for as many yards as he can. One, he spreads out defenses. He's got a great arm. He really does. That defenses have to respect that and cover their guy. You have to cover because or else he's going to throw on you. And
2, he looks good in shorts.
he looks phenomenal in shorts. Phenomenal. And he's tall. But but really though, like I get this feeling with him that he's learning how to stay in the pocket more. Like this whole season, we've well documented it that our offensive line is trash. They're garbage. So he's got this clock going off in his head when he's in the pocket where he's kind of maybe seeing footsteps and he thinks he's got to go or else he's going to get sacked. And that's something that will take some time. He's going to learn. His accuracy is going to improve. It could, as Joe said, I mean, things you'd like to have back. They had their good moments and their bad. He also had a fumble when he was trying to scoot out and run. But he's so athletic that like it's scary. It's got to be scary as an opposing defense because he can do whatever the fuck he wants on you. Like if he's got someone open, he'll throw it. But if not, you're probably fucked because he's just gonna scoot out for 20 yards. He's got what it takes. He's showing us now, and thank God he's had his reps because you can't replicate those. You need to get reps. He's getting them. And sure, it's in a losing effort, like Genny's trying to poke at us about, which honestly I'm not even upset about because we're picking up good draft space here. Hopefully a top 5 pick. But long run here, JJ, you said it on Sunday. We've already won this year in a sense because we've got our guy. And I don't think there's any doubt that he's our guy. And I also just want to quickly give a shout out to Sam Darnold because he looked good too. He had his moments too where he looked really good. That final drive that they had. Well, I think it was a fourth down and goal, and he ran around like a madman, kind of like Josh has been doing, and he found an open receiver in the end zone. That was fucking phenomenal. So props to both boys. Props to both of them. That is the future of the AFC East, right there. You saw it on Sunday.
Jordan, I want to say, I think you and I both have a reason to be excited because I think our franchises both have found a quarterback to stand behind, and I think we have our guy to build a team around. So that's what Sunday showed me between Josh Allen just running all over the field and just making sound decisions, and then Sam Darnold coming back from a quick injury and mounting a comeback. I think we both have a reason to be excited, and yeah, that's my big takeaway from that game.
See, Jordy, though, the only thing that I didn't like from that stat that JJ gave about I know he's had the highest rushing yards in the Super Bowl era, the highest rushing yards in 3 games. Yeah, in a 3-game span, and that like beats Michael Vick's record. Is now the league's on notice about what Josh Allen can do with his legs, which isn't a bad thing to know. But I think the Bills drafted him knowing that he could do that. And coming out of college, he didn't have all the running yards like Jackson did and some of these other quarterbacks who did a lot of running. So when you see a Lamar Jackson, he touches the field, this guy can run. You're expecting that he's going to use his legs to beat you in some facet. I think at least, if you're a Bills fan, I mean, it's nice to see, but I think you would have rather seen that next year when maybe they draft or pick up a couple linemen and shore up those issues on the line next year. And then he goes out and runs all these yards and does all this stuff. And then teams are just so caught off guard. Whereas like now when you're going in, your game plan is, hey, we need to try and stop him from running the ball.
Well, that's fine. That's fine in my opinion. If you're going to at some point put a spy on him, which is smart in my opinion, but if you're going to put a spy on him, then that's going to leave somebody open. And that's my whole point. But you do make a good point, Genny, is that now we're starting, it's like, it's a thing now. He can run. You got to defend it. It wasn't like before where I didn't know he could run like that. You're right. I had no fucking idea he had the ability to run like he's been running. So defenses are taking notice on that. But that was kind of my point where if you're going to all of a sudden cover him and put a spy on him so he can't run, someone's going to be open. And he's going to get to a point. He's still learning, but he's going to get to a point to where his accuracy is going to improve, and he's going to stand there in that pocket even longer than he has been and make that throw. and hopefully next year our offensive line will be better, so he'll be having more time to do that. So just as a Bills fan, I hope someone puts a spy on him, because then he's just going to carve you up with his arm. And that's what I'm
Well,
hoping
and thank
for.
God you guys got rid of fucking Kelvin Benjamin, so he doesn't have to throw to that bum anymore. You know what I mean? Like, you already know the
Fucking
guy
guy.
can't catch the fucking ball, so it's like at least he doesn't have to throw to this guy anymore. He can just throw it to somebody else, and maybe they can not catch the ball, but you'd rather at least throw to them than like have to throw to a guy you know is not going to catch it, and he's just being
Yeah, and
overpaid.
look at Robert Foster. He's really emerged as a fantasy relevant wide receiver in these past couple of weeks. I think last week he went 7 targets for 100 yards, and this is, I think, 3 weeks in a row now that he's put up some decent numbers and great targets. And so, Robert Foster, Isaiah McKenzie, Zay Jones, there's some upcoming talent here. Of course, we need a lot more, but it's promising, and I'm very excited about that.
100%.
So you are a
Alright.
Bills fan again, or no?
Always
I'm
been-
still confused. Did you put the
They'll
sign
always
back up?
be-
Yeah, but you took the sign down, so I feel like that makes you
JJ,
not
that
a Bills
sign
fan.
better be up, dude. That sign should have been put up minutes after we roasted you. Put that fucking sign back
Why
up.
did it even come down? Is my
Looking at it
question.
brought too much pain every day. I just couldn't do it. It's such a
Oh
tough season.
God.
Yeah, so the listeners know, this kid claims to be a Bills fan, had a little plaque up in his apartment out in California, and after a couple hard losses, he sent us in our group chat a whole video of him fucking taking it down because he doesn't have enough of a spine for his friends to see it and not feel ashamed. Is essentially what he said. I'm summarizing and paraphrasing.
Hey, at least I had the balls to show you all that I was taking
Embarrassing.
it down and not
Embarrassing.
just hide it in the
Embarrassing.
background. But Dan, shut up! You and the Jets, they
The
suck.
goddamn Jets.
They beat the Bills. They beat the
Good,
Bills.
we're gonna
though.
beat them in the draft spot. That's all that matters.
Yeah, exactly. All right, we're gonna move on to the Bills. I just want to summarize a couple more games that happened, because there were really a lot of good ones. I didn't think there were gonna be this many close, good games. I'm gonna start with the Giants 40 over the Redskins 16. Eli Manning, he is elite. Mark Sanchez, not so much. The Panthers, we already went over that. Panthers took an L to the Browns. Saints ended up showing up in the second half, won 28-14 over the Buccaneers. We talked about those
Hey,
Chargers. Chargers 26, Bengals 21.
Love
Number
them.
one's
Love
all
the
excited
Bulls.
about that one. 49ers with a low key upset win over the Broncos 20-14. And I don't know if you guys want to touch base on this game
I
at
think we
all
have to.
before we move on to anything else. But the Raiders 24, Steelers 21.
I just think the Steelers need to figure it out. They have to have a meeting and just analyze the situation. What is going on? And why are we losing 3 games in a row? Why did we lose to the Broncos?
Someone needs to go through the line and just punch every single one of them in the dick.
God.
And say, Dick Ryder, Dick Ryder, Dick Ryder, what are you
can't
doing?
do this late in the season. You are trying to win your division, and you're losing to the Raiders, the Broncos, the Chargers. Yeah, that's a good team, but you had a pretty big lead at home against the Chargers, so you should have finished that game. This 0-3 skid should not have happened, so they really need to correct some of these problems.
Yeah, I mean, they're up against Raiders. They're competing for the number 1 draft spot next year. I mean, that is just pathetic.
But if you look at these losses, I mean, with the big common denominator is the fact that their number 1 running back has been injured.
True.
I mean, Connor was not healthy against the Chargers, and he was out against the Raiders. I mean, that offense relies on a solid, and I mean, very good running back. And without James Conner, same thing without Le'Veon Bell, it's hard to keep that system rolling without that guy. And the other guys that got there just aren't either of those players.
It's kind of looking like not signing Le'Veon Bell for this season essentially cost them the season, in hindsight, because, Connor going out, they would have had a healthy back going through the playoffs and bringing them through this. It's a tough situation.
Did you see that Le'Veon Bell liked a tweet that featured the Raiders beating the Steelers? Low-key liked a tweet that showed, the game recap. Nope.
No love lost.
Dang.
None. No love lost.
Said bye,
He
bitch.
said, that's what you get. That's what you get.
I want to talk about instead of injuries, I want to go with some fantasy players this upcoming week that you may be kind of on the edge of maybe starting or not, like a quarterback. Because I want to talk about Aaron Rodgers going up against the Bears defense, which by the way we never even discussed. But again, this
Yeah,
is
I
one
mean that was
thing.
wild.
This is why I say they don't get enough credit, the Bears, because once again we just somehow forgot to talk about them. This Bears defense is unbelievable. They held Jared Goff in this Rams offense to 6 points.
6 points.
Yes.
15-6.
You
Chicago
fucking
Bears.
kidding me?
Again, Gurley didn't have a prominent
Are you-
role. I mean, every time they lose or it's a close game, Gurley is not in this game. I don't know what the game plan is.
Well, it's hard to blame one player on the Rams for not showing up because none of them did, and it's because this Bears defense is legit. And this is why I say this. I'm talking about Aaron Rodgers here. I have him in my semis this week in my fantasy football league, and I don't know what to fucking do. I don't think I could start him. They're in Chicago. I don't think I could start him. How do you not? He's the sheriff. He's Aaron Rodgers.
And the sheriff's going out of town this weekend. You can skip him.
Yeah, but I mean, I think the only thing you got going for you, Jordo, is if you're really thinking about starting him, is that Bryce Callahan, that corner. I mean, he broke his foot this week, so I mean, he got. I mean, Sherrick McManus came in and covered for him, and obviously it didn't really hurt their defense at all. But do you look at next week coming into it knowing he's not playing? Are they going to try and target his side of the field a little more? I mean, I still feel like you can't start any. Like, if you have a QB, unless you absolutely have to start them, I'm avoiding the Browns, or not the Browns, the Bears like the plague, because that defense. I mean, like you said, look at what they did to the Rams. I mean, that offense has been just absolutely running everybody all season, and they hit these guys, and it was like getting hit by a Mack truck. I mean, it stopped them
Literally
right in
and
their
figuratively.
face. Yeah, they literally could not do anything.
Yeah, Jared Goff, 180 yards, 4 interceptions, 3 sacks. One of the hottest offenses in the league. He came away with negative 1.8 fantasy points. Holy shit.
Yeah, fuck Jared Goff. Look at Todd Gurley. I mean, listen, if your quarterback can't throw the ball, you would think handing the ball off to Todd Gurley, or at least, doing some screenplays and stuff. I mean, they couldn't even connect on those. I mean, the simple things that you do to get your running backs active, they couldn't do. So, I mean, they all around
They
shut
weren't
him
running
down.
it all that much, though. Gurley only had 11 rush attempts. He ran for 28 yards. He had 7 targets in the air. So they were throwing almost as much as running them. I just don't get it.
Yeah, but I mean, that is Todd Gurley. Like, Todd Gurley, usually his touches really aren't that crazy in the beginning of games. I mean, a lot of his yards are coming from, like passing. Like, they do a lot of those screens and shit, or you know what I mean? So he gets a lot of rushes more towards the back half of games. But yeah, I know what you're saying.
Yeah, the Rams offense, 214 yards, only 14 first downs, 52 rushing yards. This was just a really solid effort by the Chicago Bears defense. That's really what it was, if you want to recap that game really quick.
Incredible.
It's insane. So if you're an Aaron Rodgers owner, which I mean, he's owned in like 99.9% of leagues. I just don't think. I mean, I just don't think you can start them. Bottom line, I don't think their offensive line is good enough. The reason why, partially why the Rams struggle on offense was because there's just so much pressure from that Bears defensive line, and they cover pretty well. Genny alluded to that. One of their corners on the Bears is done. That's nice. That's great. But with their monsters of the Midway 2.0, they just get to quarterbacks so easily. And I just, if you have any better options out there other than Aaron Rodgers, please do yourself a favor, go for it. If he goes off somehow, tip your hat to him. But I don't think you touch him. Does anybody else here that
I
are
got
in any
one.
up?
Jameis Winston versus Baltimore. It's another guy you just can't play. I mean, I'm not going to play him.
I thought you were going to say play him.
No way. You can't play him against this Baltimore defense. And so
Nope.
I actually have Aaron Rodgers and Jameis Winston. So I want to pick up Josh Allen on the waivers to give me some kind of hope.
Hey, now.
And that's not a lot of hope, let me tell you.
Wait, in what league are you picking up Josh Allen?
I
Is
said
my
I want
question,
to.
because I know
I can't do it
in this league.
I'm locked in this league.
You
So
know, there's nothing like ad dropping 8 players during a week that you're not even in the playoffs
I
anymore.
can't do it. I'm locked. They locked me good.
It's an interesting strategy. That is
The
for
sheriff
sure.
locked me up.
Boys, I want to pose another fantasy injury implication. Well, possibly it could be an implication, but for Thursday night's game, so I have Tyreek Hill on my squad, and I got a big semifinal matchup, and he's listed day to day. Andy Reid says that he's going to play limited in practice. He did not participate in practice yesterday. Limited today. He did participate. Saw him practicing a touchdown celebration in the end zone with his teammates. Foot didn't look that bad, but it's a big matchup against the Chargers. He's not 100%. He was walking gingerly on that foot. If he does not play for some reason,
Chris Conley. And you know
should
who
I
owns
target on the
him?
waiver? What are you
You
guys
know
thinking?
who owns him? JJ does. You send me $20, maybe I'll drop it for you, Deanne. How does that sound?
Not picking up Conley.
He's the only one. Sammy Watkins out. Tyreek Hill out. Oh my God. Hunt is out. You
Tyreek
picking up
Hill is
Curry,
not going
Chris
out.
Conley.
He's gonna play. Tyreek Hill is gonna play. I understand that, but
You're not picking up
You're not
anybody off the no. If anybody's in the playoffs, you're not picking up anybody off the waiver wire. You're starting Tyreek Hill, and you know what? If he doesn't play, then you're fucked. You got to
All right.
watch the game time and hope for the best that like they put that information out, an hour before whatever, and then you got to scramble. But I mean, if you have Tyreek Hill, you're not going with anybody else.
no,
You know
you're
what I
right. He's
mean?
definitely staying in my starting lineup until I see the active or inactive. I do have Ridley on my bench, and I do have Godwin on my bench. So if worst case scenario push comes to shove, I got to throw one of them in real quick. I don't want to, but that's something to consider for anybody else who does have Tyreek Hill on their team this week. Is you might want to grab a receiver off the waiver just in case Tyreek Hill does not play.
Well, and I think that's an important thing to note when you're going into the playoffs naturally is trying to look at maybe who those guys are on teams, that are going to make like have to play a lot during the end of the season. Maybe not teams that are blowing people out, but teams that might be fighting for it that you might want to pick those guys up before heading into the playoffs. So you do have a guy to replace Tyreek Hill in case, you're not replacing him with somebody
Chris
who really
Conley.
isn't going to get that many passes. No, Chris Conley is in the same position as Tyreek Hill. Why would you pick him
Because
up?
Tyreek Hill is
He's
out. It's
just
almost
playing
like
on
a
the same
handcuff.
team. No, not really.
JJ's
I want to be. I don't want to be on a team that's not going to throw to him because they really don't need to. Like, do they want to beat the Chargers? Sure, but like they really don't need to win these games. So there's no reason for them to go all out if Tyreek Hill's
Now,
injured.
wait a second. Wait a second. They don't need to win these games. They're one game ahead of the Chargers in their division.
They need
Yeah,
a
this is a
win.
huge showdown.
This
Yeah,
is
but they're not at risk of missing the playoffs.
no. They're making the playoffs.
You know
You're
what I'm
right.
saying?
You're
So, like, yeah, you might not get. I mean, everybody wants home field advantage, but if you're going in with a banged up team, why are you going to go all out and potentially, hurt guys? I mean,
All right, well, let's look on the other side of the ball. Melvin Gordon doesn't look like he's coming back, and Eckler's out. So Justin Jackson is looking like the pickup of the week. Now, I know you
pick that guy.
pick him up.
You have, if you're listening, we may have this up for tomorrow, which would be Wednesday, which is when waivers are cleared. It may be too late. If you don't have him already, I don't know if you're going to be able to. Actually, I take that back because I see now he's been dropped in like 5,000.
He's being dropped a lot.
The last couple of days
last week, and a lot of people aren't up to date with it.
Yeah, but how do you not see that Eckler got hurt and on the onside kick? Crazy enough, he's in concussion protocol. He's stiff as a board from what I'm
Justin
told.
Jackson could be the cowbell this Thursday. Let me tell you, boys.
He's going to be. Listen, just like Genny was saying, in a sense where you're not going to rush guys out there on short notice when you're already in a pretty good spot. I don't know if Gordon plays, and if he does, I don't know how much he plays, which makes Justin Jackson a absolute must start because Eckler's not playing. I'll tell you that right now. There's no way that he plays on short rest in concussion
He's about
protocol.
as stiff as Joe is on Sunday mornings.
Hey now.
Rolling over on that kickstand, let me tell you.
Oh boy.
Nice.
All right. Why don't we move into some games we're looking forward to watching this week?
It's intercepted. It's picked off by Robinson. Now he's at the 20. He's at the 15. The touchdown! Patrick Robinson!
Obviously, Chargers Chiefs has been talked about. That's clearly the game of the week. A lot of implications on the line. But moving down the list, there's a lot of good games this week, boys. There's a lot of games I'm intrigued in watching, a lot of playoff implications. We could start by saying Saturday night, Browns Broncos, Genny. That's a big one for that last spot in the AFC.
Oh
That's
yeah,
a
buddy.
battle.
I mean,
And the Browns
I
can
mean,
do
listen, you know, I love me some Browns, but at this point, I think they're going to start shutting everything down. They have no reason to really win. So what does it really matter?
All right. Fair
it.
enough. How about
Okay.
moving down to Dolphins Vikings? Any intrigue on that matchup?
You just never know with the Dolphins. It's so weird. It's so weird. They're like the Titans. You just don't know if they're going to be a really good team or not.
Well, both these teams are fighting. They're again, it's a battle for the 6th seed in their respective conference. The Vikings are clinging to life to that 6th seed in the NFC, and the Dolphins are fighting to get that 6th seed in the AFC. So I think both of these teams have a lot to play for in this matchup.
This is a desperation game for both, for sure. Definitely a desperation game. You can argue they're both going in separate directions. I mean, the Vikings, again, another game we never talked about against Seattle, where this one was last night. They have Kirk Cousins with $84 million in guaranteed money in his contract.
Cash
And the
money.
dude's putting up 7 points, cash money. Putting up 7 points. First of all, the 7 points came extremely late in that game.
Hey.
You know, in December, here we are in December. He's getting paid all that money and he's not performing. They actually just fired their offensive coordinator. So they're trying to fix things on their offense. But they've been underperforming. And the Dolphins, we talked about them earlier. I mean, they're getting hot. They're winning big games, back-to-back division wins. This one in Minnesota, I get the feeling that Minnesota is going to come out here and take care of business and really get a win that they absolutely need. I'm going with Minnesota. I don't know if the Dolphins defense can, they didn't hold up Brady. I know he's one of the greatest of all time, but I got this feeling that the Vikings offense is going to figure it out this week.
Boys, how about the Colts Cowboys? That's going to be a game.
Yeah, that'll be a good one too. I think again, you're talking about teams that are battling for a playoff spot. The Cowboys, it looks like they've locked up that 4th seed in the NFC, so they just need to continue to win so that the Eagles don't sneak up on them here at the end of the season. So that's a big game for them. The Colts are fighting to get in, trying to get a 6th seed. That's going to be a great matchup. It's in Indianapolis. The Cowboys are hot. I think you got a hot Andrew Luck as well, so I think you're going to see a back and forth battle there.
And then obviously we have Patriots Steelers Sunday afternoon at 1:00.
Dude, that is the biggest game of the week. I mean, I think the best game of the week is going to be Chargers Chiefs, but the biggest game of the week in terms of playoff implications and seeding at the end of this year.
Yeah, definitely.
Man, dude, is this a must win for the Patriots? That's the question to ask right here. Is this a must win for the Patriots?
I feel like it's a must win for both teams, really. You know what I mean? I don't even think it's just the Patriots.
Definitely Steelers.
It's just like, I mean, yeah, the Steelers have to win, and obviously for their division, just try and stay ahead of Baltimore. But I think you're right, Joe. I think the Patriots do have to win this week because even though I don't think they're at risk of not making the playoffs if they don't win, I think it just sets a really bad tone going into the last couple of games of the season to lose to another team that's really not doing that great this season.
Where is the game?
No, you're absolutely right, Kenny. We've talked about this earlier. It's in Pittsburgh.
Ooh, Big Ben at home.
But we talked about this earlier. Like, the Patriots don't want to be a road team in the playoffs, right? Like, in an ideal world, they're going to want to finish the season 12-4 and at least get one home game under their belt so they can secure an AFC championship. That's going to be on the road in probably Kansas City. But still, they're not going to want to be a road team in this playoff because they've shown that they just aren't very successful on the road this year.
Well, Big Ben better figure it out because they've been downhill spiraling here. And like Genny said, and we've alluded to, I mean, Connor being out is that's been a huge struggle for them. I mean, they can't run the ball, and they're not spreading defenses out like they were
Big Bet at home
before.
is nothing to mess around with.
I really have no clue. Is Connor like? Is he done? Is he just week to week?
I believe so. I
Anyone?
believe they're projecting him to be back this week right now, is what the Steelers are saying. But I don't think I don't think they've like said definitively, oh no, he's healthy. You know what I mean? I think it's kind of like, yeah, we think he's gonna be back. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I think we're getting to a point here where I don't want to push that emergency button just yet if I'm a Steelers fan, but you got the Ravens still right on your ass, and they need a W. They need to start pulling out wins, and they're going to need a run game for that. If he can't play this week, he better be back next week because they freaking need him, man. I mean, it's crazy the way that their offense performs. It's crazy how an offense performs in general when you don't have your lead running back. I mean, things just don't seem to go as well, and you're seeing
And
that
I mean,
firsthand with them.
well, I was gonna say another big thing too is Big Ben might have some broken ribs. I mean, like, he got an X-ray and he's saying he's gonna be out there, but there's questions about whether or not he's like playing, like not just injured like he usually is, but like really he's got. I mean, you're talking about broken ribs. I mean, you're talking about guys that are 250 plus 300 pounds coming at you trying to rip your head off and like landing
Listen, I
on you. I mean,
think
you got broken ribs. That's gonna kill. Like how you can keep playing through that, I have no clue. I mean, he's played through a lot of injuries, but I mean, how do you get up and play the next snap when you have broken ribs and a dude just lands on you?
Yeah, I think they pressed the emergency button last week after the loss to Oakland. Now they have Patriots, then Saints, and then Bengals. So the next 2 or 3 games are, they could definitely lose, especially if they just lost the Raiders, the Chargers, and Broncos. I mean, I think their season's done. But who knows? You never want to underestimate them, especially at home. Big Ben can pull it off. It's going to be a game of the week.
It is, but I honestly think in the same breath, if they lose this game, I think their playoff hopes are crushed. Because then I don't see them winning against New Orleans. And then best case scenario, they finish the season 8-7-1, and I just don't think that's going to be good enough to make the playoffs. So this is, as much as I say it's a must win for New England, this is a must win for Pittsburgh. So expect a battle here in this game.
Yeah, for both. I want to also point out, just for fantasy purposes, Redskins right now, who have just been in a downhill spiral, and they have Mark Sanchez as their quarterback. And as Adrian Peterson owner, I mean, this guy, I don't think he's startable either, given what's been going on with their offense. If you're in the semis and you have AP, who's kind of he's been more or less, he's been a good asset this whole season, but I I don't know if he's startable either. Mark Sanchez, I cannot believe this guy is back in the league and playing. You
But
you have the
fumbling.
Redskins who have they had a great start to the year, and now here they are 6-7 in the NFC East, and that's butt fumble Sanchez. But it's just insane. Like, imagine being a fan of a team where your starting quarterback breaks his leg, you're right in the hunt, leading the division, and then all of a sudden, another guy I think Colt McCoy broke his leg too, and here you are with Mark Sanchez, and you've now lost how many games in a row, and it's looking like you're done. And I just think if you're an Peterson owner, I wouldn't start him either because Mark Sanchez cannot spread out any defenses, and their offensive line's all banged up anyway. I thought about that. I'm like, oh my god, I feel for a Redskins fan. I really do. Um, Anybody else got anything to add as far as upcoming matchups?
My last question is for JJ. What do you think about Booty scooting Cam Newton's chances
I
on
don't
Monday
think he
night?
can do it. I don't think he can do it.
He's not going to be booty scooting anywhere, JJ.
The Saints need to figure it out, though. I don't like how they've
Yeah,
looked the last 2
and
weeks.
they play New Orleans 2 times of the next 3 weeks. But the Panthers also have to figure it out. They're on a losing streak. They've gone from good to bad really quickly, and I don't understand, especially with playmakers like McCaffrey on that team. Holy smokes.
It is a head scratcher. It's very curious to see that team take a plummet because they have a solid team. Good defense, good offense, and they're just not finding ways to win a football game.
Well, boys, I think that's an excellent week. We got some games to look forward to. Week 14 was good. Week 15, let's go.
Bills Mafia,
Let's
baby.
Go Bills. Let's go Bills. Let's go touchdown Jackson. Let's see it, Josh Allen. Let's see the Browns get stopped.
Great moments are born from great opportunity. And that's what you have here tonight, boys. That's what you've earned here tonight. One game. If we played them 10 times, they might win 9. But not this game. Not